The Galactic Council's betrayal. For centuries, Earth had lived in relative peace, enjoying the protection and guidance of the Galactic Council, a powerful alliance of advanced alien civilizations. The people of Earth had always believed that their place in the grand scheme of the cosmos was secure, that they were part of something greater. But that sense of security was about to be shattered. It began with a sudden and unexpected transmission from the Galactic Council. Jameson, a young officer in the United Earth Forces, sat in the command center, his eyes widening as he listened to the cold, detached voice on the other end. The Council had deemed humanity a growing threat that needed to be contained. Earth's influence, they claimed, was spreading too quickly across the galaxy, and they could no longer see Earth as an ally. Jameson struggled to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Earth had always played by the rules, focusing on exploration and peaceful coexistence. They had never sought to conquer or expand beyond their home world. Why, then, had the Galactic Council turned on them so abruptly? In a state of panic, Jameson contacted his superiors. The government officials were just as shocked and bewildered as he was. The Galactic Council's betrayal made no sense, but one thing was clear: humanity was now the enemy, and the Council's fleet was on its way to Earth, ready to launch a devastating invasion. As the news spread, the United Earth Forces scrambled to prepare for the impending onslaught. Jameson and his team of officers knew that they were vastly outmatched. The Council's warships were far more advanced and powerful than anything Earth had ever encountered. Reports of the approaching armada, each ship capable of wiping out entire cities with a single blast, filled them with a growing sense of dread. "We need to be ready for the worst," Commander Stevens said grimly. "The Council doesn't attack without reason. They must have seen something in us that made them think we were a threat. But this is betrayal. We've played by their rules, and now they want to destroy us." Jameson nodded, feeling the weight of the situation on his shoulders. They had to protect Earth at all costs, but how could they possibly stand against such an overwhelming force? Just as they were finalizing their battle plans, an encrypted message arrived, unlike anything Jameson had ever seen. The message was short but clear: "Earth's fleet is hidden. It's time to activate it." Jameson stared at the words, his mind racing. Could it be true? Was there really a hidden fleet, a secret military force that had been kept from the Galactic Council for generations? The idea seemed almost impossible, but Jameson didn't have time to question it. If this fleet was real, it might be Earth's only chance at survival. Jameson immediately contacted his superiors, urging them to activate the fleet. As he did, a growing sense of unease crept into his mind. The Council's betrayal ran deeper than anyone realized. Earth had been set up, manipulated into thinking they were part of a greater galactic peace, while the Council had plotted their downfall from the shadows. Now, with the enemy fleet closing in, Earth had no choice but to fight back. The Council had made a grave mistake, and it was time for humanity to show them just how wrong they were. Jameson's heart was heavy, but there was no turning back. The betrayal had been set in motion, and the fight for humanity's future was about to unfold. As the first wave of enemy ships entered Earth's atmosphere, Jameson looked up at the sky, ready to lead his people into a new era. A new fight had begun, and Earth was not going down without a fight. Earth's hidden arsenal awakens. Jameson stood in the command center, his eyes fixed on the screens before him, unable to believe what had just been uncovered. The encrypted message was clear: Earth's hidden fleet was real, but it was so much more than that. It wasn't just a handful of ships, but a vast armada, a secret military force that had been kept hidden for generations. The Galactic Council had never known about it, and Earth's enemies had no idea it even existed. The fleet was buried deep within Earth's oceans, concealed in hidden bunkers, and camouflaged in places no one had thought to look. The thought that such a massive force had been lying dormant for centuries was both inspiring and terrifying. Jameson felt the weight of this revelation. The Council's invasion had been a grave mistake, But Earth was about to show them just how big a mistake it was. "Sir, we've confirmed the location," one of the officers reported, breaking Jameson's train of thought. "The fleet is ready for activation. All systems are green." Jameson nodded, but he didn't speak. He was still processing what this meant. The fleet's activation wasn't just a matter of pressing a button. It was a massive undertaking that would require coordination between hundreds of Earth's top commanders, engineers, and soldiers. This was no longer just a defensive action. It was the beginning of humanity's fight for survival. Jameson turned to Commander Stevens, who had been by his side throughout the preparation. "We need to move quickly," Jameson said, the urgency evident in his voice. "The Council is only hours away. We cannot waste any time." Stevens met Jameson's gaze with a look of determination. "Understood, sir. We've got the advantage of surprise, but we'll have to work fast if we want to get everything operational in time." Jameson didn't need to be reminded of the stakes. He could feel the tension in the air, the pressure mounting with every passing minute. The Galactic Council's ships were closing in on Earth, and once they arrived, there would be no turning back. As Jameson made his way to the control room, he couldn't help but think about the sheer scale of what was happening. Earth, a planet that had once been considered insignificant by the galactic powers, was now about to engage in a battle that would shake the entire galaxy. He had always known that humanity had untapped potential, but he had never imagined it would come to this. This was a fight for survival, not just for Earth, but for the future of humanity itself. In the depths of Earth's oceans, massive underground hangars began to hum with life. The fleet was awakening, its ships rising from their hidden locations like ancient giants emerging from their slumber. These weren't just any ships. They were designed with technology far beyond anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. They were humanity's last line of defense, built with a single purpose: to protect the planet from invaders, no matter the cost. "Fleet Command, are we ready?" Jameson asked into the comms, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around him. "Yes, Commander," came the reply. "All ships are in position. We're awaiting your orders." Jameson took a deep breath and glanced at the map of the solar system on the screen. The Council's fleet was getting closer, its massive warships beginning to orbit Earth. They were still several hours away from launching their assault, but that didn't matter now. The fleet was ready. "Activate the fleet," Jameson commanded, his voice resolute. "Prepare for immediate launch." The control room came alive with activity as the order was carried out. Jameson could feel his heart racing as the countdown began. This was it. Earth's hidden fleet was about to make its debut on the galactic stage. Would it be enough to turn the tide? Would humanity be able to repel the powerful forces of the Galactic Council? Only time would tell, but Jameson was determined to lead his people into battle. Earth had kept its secret, and now that secret was about to be unleashed. The clash of titans, Earth versus the Galactic Council. On the surface, the first signs of the fleet's activation were subtle. The ground trembled as massive underground bunkers opened up, and enormous ships began to rise from their hiding places. They moved silently at first, but soon the skies would be filled with them. The ships were sleek, black, and deadly, their surfaces gleaming in the sunlight as they ascended into orbit. But it wasn't just the ships that made Jameson nervous. It was the unknown. The Galactic Council's fleet was unlike anything humanity had ever faced. They had weapons capable of obliterating entire cities with a single strike, and technology that Earth couldn't even begin to understand. Yet Jameson couldn't help but feel a strange sense of pride. Earth had kept its secret, and now that secret was about to be unleashed. As the first ships of Earth's hidden fleet broke free from their underground silos, Jameson looked up at the sky. The fleet was on its way, and the fight for humanity's future was about to begin. The attention in the command center was palpable as Jameson and his team watched the screens intently. The fleet was finally in motion, ready to defend Earth from the Galactic Council's attack. Every second felt like a lifetime. "All units are in position," Captain Harris said, his voice unwavering despite the tension. "We're ready to engage the Council's fleet." Jameson's fingers hovered over the control panel as he gave a final nod. He knew the stakes were higher than ever before. Earth had never fought on such a grand scale, and they were facing an enemy with technology that far surpassed their own. But the human spirit was a force that no technology could ever predict, and Jameson had witnessed that spirit time and time again. "Begin the launch sequence," Jameson ordered, his voice calm but firm. The lights in the room flickered as the launch sequence activated, sending signals to the fleet hidden deep within Earth's atmosphere. Massive ships began to ascend from their secret launch bays, rising higher and higher into the sky. The ships were sleek, dark, and armed with weapons that made even Jameson's seasoned officers pause in awe. Earth's ships weren't just powerful. They were designed for stealth, equipped with technology that could easily outmaneuver the larger, more sluggish ships of the Galactic Council. They moved with precision and speed, darting through space with an agility that sent a chill down Jameson's spine. He had no doubt that the Council had never seen anything like this, but even as Jameson marveled at the might of the fleet, he couldn't shake the feeling that the true test was yet to come. The Council was a formidable enemy, one that had crushed civilizations far more advanced than humanity's, yet Jameson held on to a single belief. Earth's greatest weapon wasn't in its ships or its weapons. It was in the hearts of its people. As the ships breached the atmosphere, the command center erupted in cheers. Earth had taken its first major step in this fight, but Jameson knew better than to let his guard down. The Council had vast resources at their disposal, and this was only the beginning. Suddenly, a blaring alarm sounded throughout the command center. Jameson's gaze snapped to the screen, where an enormous fleet appeared in orbit. The Galactic Council's ships had arrived. The sight of the massive armada filled Jameson with a mix of awe and dread. The ships were enormous, far larger than anything Earth had ever produced. They were the size of small moons, their dark hulls gleaming in the light of the distant sun. Jameson's stomach tightened. This was what Earth was up against, a force capable of destroying entire planets with ease. But as the Council's fleet prepared to launch their first strike, Jameson felt a surge of determination. Earth may have been a small, unassuming planet in the grand scheme of the galaxy, but it had something the Council had never accounted for: resilience. Humanity was not just fighting for survival, it was fighting for everything it had built, everything it had worked for, and the future of every human on Earth. "Prepare for the first strike," Jameson ordered, his voice steely with resolve. The fleet's ships locked onto their targets, and Jameson watched the screens closely, waiting for the perfect moment. His finger hovered over the launch button, knowing that one mistake could spell disaster. But as the Council's ships loomed closer, Jameson felt something shift. There was no turning back now. Humanity had chosen to fight. The first barrage of weapons was launched from Earth's fleet, the energy blasts shooting forward at breakneck speed and crashing into the Council's ships with a thunderous impact. Jameson watched in awe as the blasts erupted across the vast hulls of the enemy ships. Earth's fleet had struck first, and they had struck hard. But the Galactic Council wasn't going to be easily defeated. Their ships retaliated almost instantly, releasing a wave of deadly energy beams that tore through space toward Earth's fleet. The command center went silent as the crew braced for the impact. Jameson watched with bated breath, but to his surprise, the ships of Earth's fleet weaved through the incoming fire with incredible precision, their maneuvering far superior to anything the Council had anticipated. A loud cheer erupted from the command center. Earth's fleet was holding its own, and the Council had underestimated humanity's ability to fight back. But Jameson knew that this was just the beginning. The battle was far from over, and the true test of humanity's resolve had only just begun. The battle for the fate of humanity. The battle raged on, each side exchanging blows with furious intensity. Jameson stood at the command center, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing Earth's fleet in combat against the vast armada of the Galactic Council. The hum of machinery, the quiet chatter of his crew, and the beeping of alert systems filled the room. The war had only just begun, but already it was clear that humanity was holding its own. The ships of Earth, sleek and nimble, continued to weave through the Council's deadly energy beams, evading the enemy's fire with impressive precision. But the Council wasn't backing down. Their ships were relentless, and their weaponry was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Massive beams of destructive energy sliced through the void, aiming to obliterate anything in their path. Jameson's heart raced as he watched his fleet dodge and retaliate, firing back with energy blasts of their own. "Status report, Captain Harris," Jameson called out, his voice tense but steady. Captain Harris, standing near the edge of the command center, was monitoring the fleet's progress. His face was etched with concern as he studied the status of their ships. "Damage is minimal, Commander," Harris replied. "We've lost a few fighters, but the bulk of our fleet is still intact. The Council ships are tough, but we've been able to make them reconsider their approach." Jameson nodded, grateful for Harris' calm demeanor under pressure, but he knew that they couldn't keep this up forever. The Council's fleet was enormous, their weapons devastating. Earth's ships were outnumbered, and they lacked the firepower to match the enemy's overwhelming strength. It was a dangerous gamble, but for humanity, there was no other choice. "Commander, we've got new intel," came the voice of Lieutenant Davis, one of Jameson's most trusted officers. Jameson turned his attention to the screen, his pulse quickening. "It seems the Council is preparing to launch a devastating counterattack," Davis continued. "We're detecting a massive energy surge from their flagship." The flagship, the heart of the Galactic Council's fleet. If that ship was able to unleash its full power, it could wipe out a significant portion of Earth's fleet in a single strike. "We have to stop it," Jameson muttered to himself. He turned to Harris, his voice commanding. "Prepare the fleet for evasive maneuvers. Get us out of this position. We're too close to their flagship's line of fire." Harris immediately relayed the command, and the fleet began to shift, moving at an incredible speed as they danced around the incoming blasts. Jameson knew that the human fleet had the advantage of agility, but they could only evade for so long. Earth's ships weren't equipped to take direct hits from the Council's superior weaponry. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the command center. Jameson whipped his head to the screen. The flagship was charging its weapon, a massive beam of concentrated energy. The entire fleet held its breath, knowing that this was the moment that would decide everything. "Brace for impact," Jameson shouted, his voice urgent and filled with a sense of foreboding. All ships prepared for evasive action, but Jameson knew that they couldn't avoid the beam entirely. In a split-second decision, he made the call. "Engage Phase 2, he commanded. In an instant, Earth's fleet executed a coordinated maneuver that took the Council completely by surprise. Every ship in the fleet moved as one, their thrusters blazing as they deftly avoided the devastating energy beam. The command center erupted in cheers as the beam narrowly missed its targets, crashing harmlessly into the void. Jameson let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding, his heart pounding in his chest. They had bought themselves some time, but the true test was yet to come. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity, but they were far from defeated. Jameson knew that the real battle had only just begun, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. As the fleet regrouped and prepared for the next phase of the engagement, Jameson steeled himself for the long and arduous fight ahead. They had come too far to give up now. Earth's survival depended on their ability to outwit, outmaneuver, and ultimately, outfight the Galactic Council, and Jameson was determined to lead his people to victory, no matter the cost. Admiral Reza stood at the bridge of the Earth Fleet flagship Prometheus, watching as the combined forces of the rebel alien species and humanity's fleet engaged the remaining Galactic Council armada. The past 72 hours had transformed the galaxy's political landscape forever. The Council's corruption had finally been exposed, and their iron grip on power was crumbling. Multiple Council warships breaking formation, Admiral. Lieutenant Park reported, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. They're attempting to retreat through the quantum gates. Riza's expression remained stern. The Council's desperation was evident, but they were still dangerous. Like cornered predators, they could strike with unexpected ferocity. Maintain pursuit vectors. Coordinate with Admiral Clix's rebel fleet. We can't let the Council leadership escape. The space around them blazed with weapons fire as ships engaged in the final battle. The Council's remaining loyalist forces fought with the fury of zealots, but they were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. The combined tactical expertise of humanity and their new allies proved devastating against the Council's rigid battle doctrine. Commander Voss approached Riza with a data tablet. "Sir, we've intercepted communications from the Council's command ship. The High Councilors are attempting to reach the Ancient Gateway." Riza's eyes narrowed. The Ancient Gateway, a mysterious artifact discovered decades ago that the Council had kept secret from most species. Intelligence suggested it could open portals to other galaxies, perhaps even other dimensions. If the Council escaped through it, they could regroup and return with unknown forces. "All ships, this is Admiral Riza," he broadcast to the Allied fleet. "The Council is making for the Ancient Gateway. We cannot allow them to escape. This ends today." The Prometheus's engines flared as Riza ordered maximum thrust. The massive warship cut through space like a blade, leading the charge toward the gateway's coordinates. Behind them, hundreds of ships from 24 species followed, united in purpose. The Council's command ship came into view, a colossal vessel that dwarfed even the largest human ships. Its ornate architecture spoke of the Council's millennia of accumulated power and wealth. But that era was ending. "They're powering up the gateway," Lieutenant Park shouted. A massive structure began to shimmer with otherworldly energy, its ancient mechanisms awakening. Riza activated a secure channel to Director Kane back on Earth. "Director, we need that override sequence now." Kane's voice crackled through. "Sending it now, Admiral. Our deep cover operatives didn't die in vain. That sequence should give us control of the gateway systems." The data streamed to the Prometheus's computers. Years of careful infiltration and sacrifice had led to this moment. The Council had never imagined that the primitive humans they'd dismissed could penetrate their most closely guarded secrets. "Sequence uploaded," Commander Voss confirmed. "Gateway control is responding." The ancient structure's energy signature changed, its swirling vortex of power shifting from deep purple to brilliant blue. The Council command ship, caught in the gateway's pull, suddenly found itself trapped. "Attention Council vessel," Riza broadcast. "Your gateway access has been revoked. Surrender now." The response came in the form of weapons fire. The Council ship's guns blazed, but the combined fleet was ready. Hundreds of ships opened fire simultaneously, their weapons impacting the massive vessel's shields. "Their shields are failing," Park reported, "but they're directing all power to their main weapon array." Riza recognized the tactics. The Council meant to take as many of their enemies with them as possible. "All ships, evasive maneuvers. Target their weapon emplacements." The space battle reached its crescendo as the Council ship, burning and broken, made its final stand. Its weapons lashed out with planet-killing force, but the Allied fleet's superior numbers and coordination proved decisive. In the end, it wasn't a human ship that landed the killing blow. Admiral Clix's vessel, representing the very species the Council had oppressed for centuries, fired the shot that broke the command ship's back. As the Council vessel broke apart, Riza ordered rescue ships to retrieve escape pods. Even in victory, humanity would demonstrate the mercy their enemies had lacked. Hours later, in the Prometheus's conference room, Riza met with the Allied commanders. The holographic displays showed the aftermath of their victory. Council loyalist forces surrendering across the galaxy, oppressed worlds celebrating their freedom. "The Council's reign is over," Admiral Clix announced, his crystalline form shimmering. "But we face a greater challenge now. How do we prevent history from repeating itself? Reza stood, addressing the gathered leaders. We build something new. Not a council that rules through fear and manipulation, but an alliance built on mutual respect and cooperation. Earth doesn't seek to replace the Council as galaxy's rulers. We want to be partners in creating a better future for all species. The alien commanders murmured in agreement. They had witnessed humanity's strength, but more importantly, they had seen their capacity for compassion and justice. The Gateway remains a powerful tool, Commander Voss noted, one that could be misused. Which is why no single species should control it, Reza replied. We'll establish a joint command with representatives from all member worlds. Its power will be used for exploration and discovery, not conquest. As the meeting concluded, Reza stood at the viewport, watching ships from dozens of species working together to secure the Gateway. The galaxy was entering a new age, one shaped not by the Council's ancient prejudices, but by the combined potential of all sentient beings. Director Kane's voice came through his private comm. The President sends her congratulations. Admiral, you've helped shape the course of human history. We all did, Reza replied, thinking of every soldier, scientist, and civilian who had contributed to this moment. The Council thought they could extinguish humanity's light. Instead, we've helped illuminate a new path for the galaxy. The ancient Gateway pulsed with energy, no longer a tool of oppression, but a symbol of possibility. Humanity had not only survived the Council's betrayal, they had transformed it into an opportunity for universal change. As Reza watched the combined fleet establish patrol patterns around the Gateway, he smiled. The stars no longer seemed like distant, cold points of light. They were beacons of potential, waiting to be explored by species working together in true partnership. The dawn of a new era had arrived, and humanity would help ensure it was brighter than any that had come before.